Campus is 3 miles from capital city international airport, so means that all foreign delegations can easily come. It can flow a lot of international events, revenue, and reputation, which is a major hub offering global connections and enabling KCTP tenants to maintain close contact with business contacts and colleagues from across the globe, around the world. That is a very good factor. KCTP has a minibus and driver that can be booked to take tenants and their visitor to and from to airport. So it's like a proper facility to bring people from airport to your destination. And of course, it will be a chargeable service which will generate an additional revenue for you for the park. There are several large hotels with a short distance, so it's boosting a hotel industry outside. There is a eco environment business. Tenants use these to accommodate visitors, including colleagues and potential clients. So some people might be the staff is also occupying them, as we saw that generally the hotels near to the parks. So companies come into an agreement. They for senior management, middle management, they keep them with them. There are also provide convenient venues for meeting and conferences, which is a very key factor for a park because these conferences and events will bring footfall, and we need to see that how much is the footfall, how many exhibitions are coming. And as we know, Dubai has successfully done this. Last week, there was a GITEX, it's a technology exhibition, means airport, taxi, hotels, food, restaurant, everything will be generating a value ecosystem will be really good. JCT, then we can say that KCTP still has a close working relation with Capital City University. University has international reputation for excellence in number of key areas, including biotechnology. Recall that diagram that we see, biotechnology was one of the section and engineering materials. Engineering were also a portion. Some of the KCTP tenants decide to base themselves there in order to develop contacts with leading academics at Capital City University. Other was previously academic there but left in order to conduct more applied research with a clear commercial directions. So means there is a university research, there is a research which has been go in an advanced phase where they are involved into. There are several other universities within a comfortable traveling distance of KCTP. So KCTP looks in a very strategic location where everything is aligned, right, left, airport, hotels, universities, they are into a very good shape. Let's talk about KCTP campus. He says the campus comprises 18 buildings set in pleasant land-capped ground. These vary in size from 17,000 to 18,000 square meters. So they maintain the ground to a higher standard, insist the tenant keep the exteriors of their building and their surrounding areas clean and tidy. Yeah, this is really, we saw in the technology parks that they are very strict. Like you can't throw trash, anything outside. You need a permit for doing everything, which is a very good control, as we can see. 15 of the buildings on campus are large unit intended for sole occupancy for rental to individual tenants. Each building has all necessary cabling connections to ensure that utilities such as electricity, data, telephones, water, as we discussed in the start, is available for tenants. Tenants are free to adapt and change the interior of the building as their interior. Very important is, but generally what all these does, you get a empty, which you call shell and core, empty ones. You build up accordingly. When you leave, you give them the same empty. You break and remove everything. That's how mostly tech parks works. So he says that For example, some tenant install interior partition to provide separate spaces. Most install specialized equipment ranging from special air filter to the small furnaces. So here again, health, safety, environment involved. That where is the exit point, fire hazards, should not, because if you do a wrong partition where there is no air evacuation, it can lead to some HES issues. Here is the picture, a symbolic picture. Tenants are required to restore their building to the original condition at the end of their tenancy. This is, I told you, that's a common practice nowadays, that you invest. How it goes is it will create a extra cost for a tenant. This we need to understand. That maybe there is a discussion about this as well. That if I take a shell and core empty office, I spend say $500,000 or a pound, and then I have to dismantle it. So that will be a cost of my investment. That must also inform KCTP health and safety. This is the same things. KCTP reserve the rights. They can accept it or they can reject it. So this is make a very logical discussion. Here is the same thing is saying initially refuse permission to proceed with that until the workspace in which it was located was fitted with safety locks to prevent any unauthorized entry while the laser is in operation. So KCTP as a park is very strict on the international regulations. They will not accept anything before studying and seeing. Another tenant wished to replace a furnace, used to create alloys with a larger model, but was refused because the additional electrical current required by the larger furnace would have caused burnouts, a drop in voltage in electricity to other buildings. So you can see that the park is quite keen about health, safety, environment, and very strict in their regulations. Two of the KCTP buildings has been subdivided into smaller workspaces and rented out to entities who need are more modest than those requiring sole occupancies. So means if you're a Microsoft, you can take a full building. If you're a startup, you can't take a full building. You need a smaller office or a shared office. Many of these smaller entities are at startup stages, which is we already discussed. Next paragraph, our building is occupied by KCTP itself, one building. So one building, this is also typical asset management. Every asset need management, and if you are a park, so you need a management for yourself, your staff, your other things will sit there. So it's occupied, it's located beside the visitor's entrance and car park beside the visitor entrance. So they make it so easy that anyone comes will straightly enter into and you can go to Javza like Jabal Ali Free Zone. You enter, you will see you go to any free zones, you will see that they will have their own office. So these are the things, standard things located, and the car parking, next to car parking, so visitor can easily come. They are open 24 hours spaces and telephone switchboards that enable operator to answer and transfer the calls. The building has offices, workspace for administrative and facilities staff, including a sophisticated security operation room that monitors the ground remotely and communicates with security patrols. The building has executive offices and a board room that can be hired by tenants when it has not been used by KCTP. So it's again a source of revenue that as a tenant I can hire these facilities. It will give a good impression to my customers also who is coming to see us. KCTP campus was purpose-built. So of course there are advantages to be a purpose-built, advantages, disadvantages. with excellent connection to utilities such as water, electricity, data, internet services. These could, in principle, meet the need of a small town, and so there is an ample provision for tenant foreseeable needs. This is a good strategic information that they have ample capacity. So means I can say if I am a strategic manager, so I will try to utilize this capacity in a better way. There's also a scope for utility to be upgraded if the need arises. So it means they have a capacity generation cushion as well. KCTP offer access to a campus computer network facilities that is linked to a secure server with offsite hot backup. So in books we study three type of sites. One is hot, one is cold, one is warm. What does it mean? So suppose Amazon, Microsoft, they say we are hot sites. Hot sites mean that they have engineers, hardwares, and infrastructure. If anything happened to their system, they say we will restore in seconds. Suppose if a hacker able to hack Google server, so Google says that in seconds we will restore a new Google and we will handle the business continuity. That is the concept of hot site or warm site and cold site. This we will discuss in IT stuff. Tenants are free to make their own arrangements for data storage and communication, but many appreciate the fact that KCTP can provide this service, albeit at a fee. I mean, it's equally loud that you can, because in developed countries you have a lot of key players in terms of telecommunication, cheaper packages. So they are okay with the concept. They don't restrict, but of course they are better. Let's talk about staffing. They have a huge staff. You can say they employ 970 staff directly in operation and management. So you're talking about a regular payroll and employee-related benefits and as a cost. These are engaged in a variety of roles. So we need to also see if I would be looking to definitely, I will see the staffing part. If the staff is appropriate according to the duties, roles, responsibilities, and the size of the premises. Are they perfect size? They are excessive, they are less. So health and safety, 24 hours, security, 24 hours, maintenance, 24 hours, information technology, 24 hours, reception technology. So they work in the shifts, right? That's why 24 hours is available. Admin and legal 24 hours is not available because these all department, admin, marketing, internal audit, they are 9 to 5 ones, the morning ones. So business services, KCTP business services offer a flexible range of services to tenants, many of which are startups that are managed by a technologist who has very little interest in the administrative aspect of running their businesses. Obviously, if you're a very small company, you don't need a secretary, you don't need an accountant. Tenants can, if they wish to pay to subcontract aspect of their business, including bookkeeping, tax returns, human resource, like an outsourcing. So here I can discuss the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing as a good option, bad option, what we conclude. Given the confidential nature of the work undertaken by many tenants, KCTP has to undertake detailed background checks of all of its staff. This is really important nowadays, background check. So it will reduce your employee risk and confidentiality risk. So this is actually a risk management step that when you hire a staff, you do a screening, you do a cross-reference check, you check the criminal There are 7, 8 standard falcony and this and that. Have you ever been convicted? Do you have been imprisoned? Or these kind of checks we need to do. These includes extensive employment checks, reference from the old employers, full employment history supported by documentary evidences. So these are all risk managements. Security department has a section that conducts detailed checks. So for security staff, you have another extra risk management because they are going to secure the safety of the tenants. KCTP Security Department also employed 2 specialists in cyber security to oversee, which is a very good step. I can say that cyber security is the main threat to a KCTP business, and manage the security issues associated with managing of the company IT systems. So what is cyber security? What are the cyber risks? What are the advantages, disadvantages, how to mitigate the risk? This is a very important knowledge to know. Possible questions. Tenancy agreement is interesting. So obviously all parks nowadays, they minimum 12 months, they bound. Some say 6 months notice, some say 3 months notice period if you want to leave. So, and mostly at startup, if startup works, they will stay. If startup didn't work, they will leave. So mostly they say that within 2 years time, some small businesses closed and or few grow. So that's a general trend. New tenants are vetted carefully, including rigorous financial checks. So, yeah, because it's a park, so it's not good for their reputation that a tenant came, he was very burdened, highly leveraged, and he closed his operation after 3 months. It's gonna give a, because park should produce success as well, as a successful venture. So, including regulars, means some parks, what they do is they say you should be providing this information to see that are you financially strong. Rental agreements, obviously it will be a class, if you are talking about a high class companies, different checks. If you're a seed up company, you're a startup company, there would be different checks, of course. Generally based on 12 months contract that can be rolled forward indefinitely from year to years, and which tenants been required to indicate their, which you call notice period, intention 6 months before. So some have 6 months, but in COVID scenario, maybe some people are giving 3 months also. And tenants are required to make substantial cash deposits before taking possession. This will be as per the laws of the real estate laws, like 5% of the rental or 10%. This, of course, there is a national law on in developed countries for deposits. Who is returned at the conclusion of the tenancy after settlement of all receivable and restoration of the building or workspace to its original conditions. I mean, that's a deposit. We know that all rent deposits are for the landlord security in terms of restore, because they want to restore it. So if a tenant is unable, they have a deposit to be used. Most tenants remain 2 years, but some are since 10 years, means that, as I told you, some startup, if the concept is not good, they will close it. Otherwise, they can go as long as. KCTP marketing department exists to maintain the company profile amongst potential tenants. Department also liaisons with the existing tenants to ensure that their needs are known and understood in the hope that they will renew their contracts. The marketing department comprises an experienced manager and an administrative assistant. So this looks like a situation where they are taking care of their tenants. So we need to see like what is the feedbacks on the tenants, why they leave, why they stay, what they feel good, what they feel bad. So moving forward, we have interesting discussion about strategy now, vision, mission, and values. So they have a vision, contribute to innovation. Mission is offered as an open strategic platform for the development of innovation, which makes sense. Values, they want to bring innovation, community together. They want to have integrity, high values. Flexibility means adaptability. Responsiveness, where what stakeholders are looking for, they are giving a feedback and they are delivering them the better values. Here we are entering into a easy scenario. These are the profiles, KCTP board of directors. The most important is to see when you see a profile, you should think that is it a good profile. For example, Jules is a retired finance director. Previously, she worked for an Ireland longest established technology park till she retires in 2018. So she had held senior position in number of technology companies during her successful career. She was appointed as a board in 2019. So you can have your own criticism, your thinking, relevance. Is it a good member? Is it not a good member? Should a finance director should be on a board member? Which committee she should join? Is a finance expert? Of course, audit committee should be joined if there is. I can see there is committees here. So Sanjay Gupta also, he was a director of innovation because their vision is innovation. So they bring one person. He is innovative. Bill, director of operations of he is an IT specialist. In recent years, he has developed an interest in cybersecurity and was a major IT manager. He has worked for 14 years. So he can be a good resource in terms of cyber ones. Shireen, she had a finance position in major engineering company. She enjoys working in fast moving, stimulating environment and was delighted to join KCTP board. So she held a senior finance position in the engineering and fast moving stimulating environment. So we have to see which committee she will be better profile into. Human resource directors were Renault, trained and human resource manager in a large production company. So we need an HR. So maybe remuneration committee for director would be a better one. We have independent non-executive directors, NEDs. So what is the expertise? Qualified engineer who is a director of one of the largest engineering company. Rick uh, Adamson, he is a qualified lawyer, so he can add value when it comes to a legal operations. Then you have a senior manager in public relation company is interested in business startup, uh, had experience. So because a lot of your clients are startups, so it will be good to have one guy from startups. Professor Helga had a successful academic career. She was a dean of university, so she can be a good pitch for creating relationship between universities and KCTP. So this is like generally, I mean, based on, because if you have a relevant people on board on KCTP, your corporate governance will grow. So it is purely related to risk, internal control, governance may lead into. So these are the departments that we need to take care of. And these are the board committees. That is, we can, I mean, we will discuss and negotiate that. Do we need, is it good that Jules is in audit, independent audit committee, risk committee? This we need to be very analytical and critical in that. So here we are almost in the half of our core case, and it's almost 2 hours. We are non-stop discussing this. So let's do this completion.